Coming to you from the Hubba Hubba Room at Gentleman Jack's Dance Hall and Boozatorium. It's the Cigar Advisor Cigar Review Panel. I'm Gary Korb, and because my bank is now on daylight savings time, my ATM card only works at night. Nice. So, today we are smoking something new and exclusive from one of the hottest cigar makers, I guess, in Nicaragua.
The hottest cigar maker in the world right now.
His name is AJ Fernandez.
He has a fever, hope he gets better.
Is the AJ Fernandez Indomina, or Indomina by AJ Fernandez. And it comes in three sizes, a Churchill, Toro, and a Robusto.
Who doesn't?
They're all 50 ring gauges. We are smoking the Toro, and this is 6x50. And as always, we are joined by our panel of unusual suspects. Teacher says, every time he flexes, an angel gets its wings. Say hello to Mr. Fred Lunt.
Ooh, I can do that.
Amazon's Alexa got her creepy laugh by looking at naked photos of him. It's Tommy Z-Man, everybody.
That's good. Sounds like a dying horse.
I like her laugh. I know, because I like it.
He's the man responsible for Chew High, Coca-Cola's new alcoholic drink. John Pulo is here.
There it is.
And there you have it. So, let me give you the stats on this cigar. This is the Indomina by AJ Fernandez. The filler is Nicaraguan, as we would expect. The binder is a Mexican San Andres, and we always like that. And the wrapper is an Ecuadorian Habano 2000, and it's really, really nice. It's kind of got a little bit of that rosado hue to it, you know, which I like. And all three sizes, again, it comes in Churchill, Toro, and Robusto. They are priced at under $90 a jar, and $22.99 for a 5-pack. So that averages out about $4.50 a smoke.
Yeah, the price of this quality cigar is tremendous.
Yeah, so it's about $4.50. It's under $5.
Yeah.
At least at the time of this recording. So anyway, John, what can you tell us about the meaning of Indomina?
Indomina. All right, I am no Latin expert by any stretch of the imagination, but Indomina is fierce or untamable, and
Like Black Panther.
it could be. And the blend does perform that way. Gary just gave you the rundown of what's in it, and tons of pepper. You know, when we reviewed our baseline, we talked about how much of a Nicaraguan cigar this is.
Yeah, it is.
Very hearty, very peppery, very full. You've talked in the past about front loading. Yes. I think this thing, the whole first half of this cigar is front load. This is a pepper monster.
Really?
I think so too, yeah.
I didn't think so.
Really?
No, but I didn't get a lot of pepper. I get.
Really?
Remember we talked about this, that I get that sweet wood. Now we talked about like a cedary. Do you guys get that? Because
Well,
like I'm getting.
I'm getting that.
See,
Yeah, I
no,
already got
I
that,
get.
yeah.
See, and it starts as a very generic woods to me, but then as it goes on, it's not cedar. It's more of like an oak or a charred wood for me. And then you mentioned pepper, but I get white pepper, and at the start in the first third is just like a light sort of brushing, like that sort of tingle at the back of the throat, back of the tongue, but then it goes away after the first
I
third.
can tell you what that is,
And
Fred.
it's not
but
very
It's a
peppery.
family show.
Jesus
No, I
Christ.
agree with Fred. I
got a
agree
ball
with
gag for
Fred
this guy.
and John because I found it to be peppery, but it's not a really harsh pepper. It's kind of like this white pepper, lighter pepper.
It's
but
very-
it
it's so
was
smooth.
very peppery.
But you're getting it heavy, like because I'm
my
not
God.
getting it.
It's not that it's, well,
I'm getting
I'm
it,
saying
but
it's not heavy,
like,
but it's
I don't
there all
know.
the time.
Hey, everybody's palate is different,
Clearly.
and that's why having at least like we have 4 guys here,
And you're just wrong.
and then he's
On many levels.
and
3
he's
out
the
of 4
boss, so
cigar
I've got to
advisors.
sit here and take it like a man.
You're just wrong.
Go get the ball gag.
So, really what this comes down to more than anything else, I think, is that you have these, even from the beginning, all of the flavors that I found in this thing are something with an edge, something with a bite. We'll get into the complexities of this a little bit later. There's like a taste of ginger in here. There's a taste of pepper in here. There's a taste of spice in here, alongside with some of the other general qualities you like in a good hearty cigar, like earth and leather. There's no shortage of some of those in there. But I mean, it's enough, especially on this spice component, that it really doesn't even let up until about the end of the first third. I mean, my tongue still has prickly heat.
You know, I think the last great cigar master who owned the business was Don Pepin, and at his Nicaraguan factory, he was just making so many cigars for so many people. Now, I think AJ Fernandez has taken over as the new master. But the thing I find so interesting in relating to this cigar is that every AJ tastes so different from another AJ.
Yes,
you know,
that's true.
The components of this are so different than AJ's Upman, which I think is fantastic, and so different than a San Lantano, so different than other stuff he's done. That's what I'm liking about what he's doing, and this cigar is just another great cigar from Fernandez, yet, as Gary, you said, really low priced for a top quality
Yeah, I
AJ
was
cigar.
surprised to see it was, because this could easily sell for $8, maybe even
This
10.
could be $150 a box.
To back you up, Tommy, too, I think this is in the past year in the past year or so, this is at least the third AJ cigar we've reviewed here.
Usually, when a cigar starts out, kind of a front-loaded cigar, maybe you guys would agree, I don't know, disagree. But usually by this point, it's kind of rounded out. It's rounded out, it's, the other flavors start to come in, like the cedar and the sweetness, and but this just has a very peppery finish for me.
Yeah, this is my fifth cigar, one of these, and all of these have just super straight burn lines. The ash is not flaky at all. It's just so solid. It burns white. You could take this to a long ash cigar contest, and they would do fine. It's just the burn on these has just been fantastic on each of them.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought construction up because there's another thing, especially with that H2000, the Habano 2000
Yes.
wrapper.
Yeah.
It's got a really nice muted color to it, but the construction, great draw too. We focus on flavor all the time. Well, the actual performance of the cigar, of all the samples we've had, or at least that I've had, the draw has been spot on. I know some factories test for this, some just throw caution to the wind, but the draw is impeccable, and you'll also notice that as the construction goes, the seams barely there.
Yeah,
You can
that's
barely
always
see
like
them.
that.
Yeah, it's also
So-
got a very oily kind of hue
Yeah,
to it.
very nice
Lots of oil.
It's a
presentation.
beautiful wrapper.
Very
that's
nice
for sure.
presentation.
Well, we didn't really talk about the notes that are in here.
Right, it is definitely a complex cigar.
I would agree.
Sure.
This is definitely a deeply. We all take away different things on this, and it definitely changed throughout for me. With a retrohale, I got a lot of white pepper. I got some charred wood. I got some cocoa, a little bit of mineral notes. So it got very complex for me. It got very rich and creamy and sort of chocolatey towards the end, especially. But what did you guys think
I
for the
think
notes? as far as
cocoa's
complexity?
definitely. There's a sweetness to this, especially like Gary said, once that
That's probably from the
first
San Andreas
third is
binder.
gone. There is a sweetness in here, almost like cedar, cocoa, something almost like that black cherry kind of a little bit.
I got a little bit of that
Yeah,
too.
Now,
it's
That's interesting
just
because
tasty as hell.
I found no sweetness, but that's okay because a lot of the cigars we've reviewed lately have had kind of that tangy component to it. But I have noticed it to be much more hearty, much more sturdy flavors.
Yes, yes.
Especially through about
well,
the
it's
first
pronounced.
half.
They're pronounced.
Yeah,
Yes.
but any of the sweetness, I mean, so you try the cigar for yourself. You may not find those, and that's okay. I think it could go either
It's
way.
your palate and how it
It's
is.
and it could be maybe there's too much sugar in my coffee to maybe pick up on the
you-
difference or whatever the case
You
is.
bring
My
up a
coffee is
great
kinda sweet, but-
point because a lot of times you smoke a cigar and you really don't notice the complexities or the different flavors. You just taste cigar. You taste tobacco. This one, you taste pronounced notes of those flavors. Like they are so there. Is that
Right.
I think that's what you're saying.
Well, especially it's just starting from the cold draw. So when you take a cold draw right before you light it up, big hints of barnyard, salt,
Okay.
and a little bit of a floral type of sensation. So
Okay, that's
kind of a
nearly
nice,
none of those
easy. I mean, it is not at all a giveaway of all the pepper and spice that's going to come. As soon as you start toasting the cigar, it is like straight up red pepper fire.
Really? Okay. I
And,
didn't get
and
that
it just
much.
and just kind of throws it at you nonstop until about probably the better part of the first half of the cigar.
So how are you rating this cigar?
They're so different.
Yeah, I know. I'm not getting exactly what you said either. But are you rating this very full body then at that point? Because
Well, here's the thing.
me, it's
so
medium to full.
the flavors are intense, but the body of it doesn't really start to set in and escalate until halfway.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the difference between body and strength. So
People think it's the same thing. It's
The
not.
intensity of the flavors are very pronounced in the beginning. But by halfway, once some of the pepper starts to woe down and some of the creamier components come in, everything starts to fatten up. And this is like that, like when you're cooking something, you're coming down that home stretch and all the flavors are starting to get together and the edges are starting to brown and
They caramelize. in a
everything is
sense.
getting really big and it's a long smoke. This is a 2 hour.
It is.
This is a
Yeah,
2 hour
mine
Toro
burned
right
well
here.
over
2 hour
2.5
Toro.
hours.
Not me, obviously.
Gilligan would form
I'm
those,
smoking a
I
little
think.
faster.
So I got to
All right
tell you
there,
that.
Chuggington.
If you really want to get your money's worth, you're going to get it out of this because this is a 6x50 and it burned for 2.5 hours. And I think I
Burns
still had
slow.
some to go after that. I was forced to put it down.
I think there's some
Because I had to
Lajero
go.
in there. I think there's some Lajero in the center.
There's a lot
You
of
can
Lajero.
actually,
Oh, yeah,
you can
there's
actually
definitely
see it
some
if you
Lajero
look
in
at the foot. There's almost like a little darker circle within.
Well, that's it.
Within
Yeah,
there.
that's the
Yeah, you
Lajero.
can actually see the Lajero in the cigar. So it's definitely got
You should.
little
Yeah.
little body to it, little meat on there.
Yeah, so we talked
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
about some of the intensity of the flavors, but what are the, and you wanted to know some of the notes, or at least compare some of the notes.
Yeah.
So start throwing out some notes. What did you
Well,
because
I
there's
got-
a lot of them.
I got
Oh, yeah.
damp earth spice, white pepper, and semi-sweet cedar. So it's semi-sweet. Notice that it's not a sweet cigar, like you said. It's more like
I totally agree.
Like
But
a
it's-
very dark chocolate, like 85%, 90%. You know, or and then like and the sweetness. It's just not sweet, which I usually like. But it's
That's
balanced.
a good
It's balanced, and
comparison.
that's-
Dark chocolate or dark cocoa. That's
Yeah.
the cocoa
Yeah.
I get.
Yeah.
It's got that semi-sweetness
Yes,
to it. I
yes,
really
it's
like.
not the that's the kind
That's
of
a good
sugary
call,
sweetness
Gary,
you
good
normally
call.
would get from like a broadleaf wrapper or a, you know.
How about some of yours?
Me, well, I said that definitely halfway through, I'm kind of getting that black cherry cedar. That's really, especially the black cherry thing, like lingering. I think you said you're getting
How do you get so
some of the
far down?
kind of stuff. No, I'm smoking this very fast, and I don't know why. Yeah, I'm like twice. I'm half the size of your guys' cigars here, so the pepper's gone to my brain. But I'm just not
Are you
getting.
still finding it peppery?
No.
All right,
I'm
so
not.
it's
I
paired,
didn't-
it finally peeled
Yeah.
off. All right.
I
Okay.
kind of agree with Fred a little on the white pepper, and I don't usually get that in a cigar too much. But white pepper isn't as bitey, right?
No,
It's,
no.
a bit,
Kind of
it's a bit more refined, sort of. It's smoother.
So what about your notes? You
refined
said
and
really,
smooth.
basically.
Yeah, I kind of, I give you a quick rundown, sort of. So it's very creamy, but I got early on I got more of a cherry-like sweetness, like dark cherry, and they kind of shifted to a bit more of a caramel-like. A lot of charred wood, more like a charred oak. A little bit of damp wood, sort of at the very beginning, and like that dark cocoa, like you guys were saying. A little bit of coffee, and on the retro hail I picked up some earthiness and some like mineral, sort of salty note. And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's very complex. So you can pull at this all day long, and you'll find different notes. And just like how we're going back and forth, you can find it very peppery. For me, the pepper is almost all but gone now. So you can just it's amazing how much our palates can vary between the flavors and the tasting, because it's very subjective.
And also, we
fries.
smoked on Friday. Well, you had yours in the morning.
I did have mine in the
Dawn and I
morning.
had ours in the afternoon, the base one, and now it's morning again. So, and you know what? It's funny. It's not as peppery as the one I had Friday.
Really?
And the draw is better. So I don't know.
Did you say what was in here or no? Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's a Nicaraguan filler. Pardon me. The Habana 2000 wrapper from Ecuador, and it's got a San Andreas or Mexican. I
Yeah,
assume it's San Andreas.
San Andreas
binder.
Interesting mix. I'm just wondering where the Nicaraguan tobaccos are from, because as we know that.
Well,
Probably
I'm sure
Esteli.
there's some Esteli in
It's
here.
probably
yeah,
Esteli, yeah.
Lajero definitely.
That's where his main farm is.
Only because Nicaragua has several regions, and the tobaccos are very different from those regions.
Yeah.
So that's why you can blend an all
mean-
Nicaraguan cigar, and it can have 5 different types of tobacco.
Yeah.
I
Could
think
it be
there's some.
an
I think there's some
Ometepe? I
Condega
don't
in
know.
there too.
But this is a complex cigar. That's where
That's
I'm
true.
if I'm gonna wrap up things, I'm gonna say it's got pronounced notes, and you should really take your time when you smoke this cigar.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna sit there and you're going to taste different things. And even if you're a beginner and you don't understand tasting flavor notes as much, you're gonna say, hey, I do get that. I do get that. So that's what I'm going with. Fred, what would you say?
Well, I'm going to sort of agree with you and say that this is a.
Outta here.
It's just very
Ridiculous.
subjective, this smoke, and it's a very, it's take your time with it, because it's just something that you're going to want to sit and sort of savor. But it's very rich, it's very complex, it's
is
very deep. It's sort of a medium plus kind of in body, but intensely flavorful. I mean, very, very full of flavors. It's going to be a lot for your palate. So either make sure your palate's really clean beforehand, or don't have anything at all before. If you're smoking a lot in a day, this is not going to be something you're going to really enjoy. So definitely sort of pick up on that. And I really like the presentation here. I don't think we've really touched on that much, but I kind of like this sort of like a Tex-Mexy kind of vibe. Would you say it's like it's got like the Longhorn
Got
skull,
the AJ
and,
Longhorns in there.
you know, sort of the candy skull type flower work, and you know, it's all over the jar that you can see. But it, you know, it's I think especially for the value, this is going to be a lot for your buck.
Oh yeah, definitely. John, how about you? What would it pair with too? Also, what you
I'm going to
suggested?
say, you know what? The smoother the bourbon, the better. And
Okay,
here's
bourbon, yeah,
here's why. There are stronger cigars. There are stronger AJ cigars.
Sure. Oh.
But this one exerts its aggression by way of pepper, primarily,
Okay.
at least in my experience. So if you're going to find something bourbony, you're going to go for something that's smoother, probably more well-rounded, and a little bit on the sweeter side to help counteract some of that. But as we've said before, this is a sturdy smoke. This is a 2-hour plus Toro. Which is certainly going to provide plenty of satisfaction. But one thing too is this stays cool because it burns so slow. It stays cool, and I had to relight the other one twice.
Really?
But stayed
Yeah, I did too.
cool,
Yeah.
stayed cool even after having to relight
That's
it.
true,
So
yeah.
if the situation
not
arises,
burn
you
hot.
get interrupted and you have to put this down and walk away and you come back, if you just take a little bit of extra care relighting it, it will treat you right.
Okay, I agree with that. You and I almost had identical experiences on Friday, so I'm not going to add anything more to that. Other than I would probably, because I do like a little more sweetness when I'm smoking a cigar, so I would probably go with like a good long-aged dark rum.
And you said an añejo?
Yeah, yeah.
Why?
Because I like the sweetness from the rum to kind of counterbalance the pepperiness in the cigar.
That's a good point.
So,
Very good.
and also let's talk a little bit just about the jar. This is a Humi jar. It's a famous Humi jar. Comes in a jar of 20. It's it's self-humidifying, and it's vacuum sealed. So you're getting like a free humidor with this too. So it adds even more value
Yeah.
to the item, and I think that's always a great thing.
So there you go. 20 Toros, its
Yep.
own humidor,
Yep.
under $90.
Nice artwork.
Nice artwork.
It's
Lots of
Looks
pepper. You guys found some sweetness.
Yeah.
Sturdy and full.
There's something for everybody. I
A
think.
little bit of complexity on top of complexity.
Yep.
This one's a barn burner.
Indomina by AJ Fernandez. It's exclusive to Famous Smoke Shop. It's under $5 a smoke. It comes in the humid jar. It's complex. It's more on the full body side. And you can see all of our cigar reviews at cigaradvisor.com. Please follow us on Facebook, and don't forget to watch us every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for our Facebook Live show. You can also follow us on Twitter and YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, Skinterest, and
And Mr. Skin, right?
yeah.
Oh,
And so that's all for now. We'll see you next time, and happy smokes.